Hey John,
Hi.
welcome back. So today we're going to go over everything that we did at your last visit. And with your permission, I created this PowerPoint to do that. Yeah? So what includes, we're going to go over your primary concern again. We're going to talk about all those exams that we did and the results of them. And we got your x-rays back, so we'll talk about those findings. Then we'll talk about how chiropractic can help me and your treatment and goals of care.
Okay.
Yeah? So you can keep this. I'm going to send this to you via email so you can reference it as we go through your care plan.
Awesome.
Cool. So when you first came, you told me that you had low back pain. You are experiencing it for 10 years now, is that correct?
Yeah, I've had it for a while.
It's a long time. And you told me you described the pain as dull, achy, and tight pain, right? And still having that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then last time you had this, I guess this experience of pain, you said it was about 3 weeks ago when you were stretching?
Yeah.
Okay. And then at the worst, you said, at the worst it doesn't happen a lot, but at the worst, the pain can even travel down to the legs.
It has in the past when it's gotten really bad, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're going to look into that. I'm going to take this all into consideration, and I'll let you know how that is all associated with what we're going to talk about and go forward doing. So with your exam results, if you remember your spinal orthopedic exams, that's just the name that we give. If you remember, I had you like, one of the exams included, I had you rotate and then kind of slowly bend down. Another exam, you were laying down and I had your leg, slowly brought your leg out to see if it elicited any pain, like maybe locally in the area in your low back, or if it had some kind of pain that shot down to the legs. And you told me no. And actually all of the tests were a negative, which is great. I'm going to show you on the spine. That's actually telling me that nothing is going on structurally in your spine. So as you can see, they're all really closely together and create your spine. You have your vertebral bodies, each vertebral body here, and in between them are your disc, and outside here are your spinal nerves. So as like I was saying with that exam, I had you rotate, and then actually that's up there, but rotate, but you can see how that can create some pain because how close the bodies are. But in your case, everything's functioning normal. There's no pressure caused in the nerves that creates that pain to shoot down or radiate down to your legs. Or there's no local pain that can be affected, like with the spinous touching, or these are your spinuses here, or your facets to kind of compress together. So that's great. And then your neuro exams, which I had you do like something like this. I had you tap your feet. We did some exams that you close your eyes, if you can remember, and those are all negative as well. So those nerves that I showed you on the spine, fully functioning. Your brain is connecting to your body, which is great. With your postural analysis, we found that you had a little bit of a forward hip hinge right in here. So what that tells me is like you're just slightly like hunched over a little bit. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Or do you feel like that sometimes? And that can be normal because it's like there's a little tightness here that is actually what it's telling me, that you're having like tightness, that the muscles here that create your legs to come up or for you to move forward is tight, so it's pulling you forward. Exactly. And then we had you walk. I had you walk, and I did an analysis of that, and I found that you had a little bit of a hip drop on each leg. So what that means is that tells me that your there's a muscle here, your gluteus medius. It's a muscle that comes here and attaches down to the bone of your leg. And as you're walking, there's a moment when you're unsupported with both legs, so you're just with one leg, and that one leg holds you upright or stabilizes you. So that drop is telling me that the glute medius is a little bit weak. Okay. Any questions about that?
No.
Okay, great. And then with your muscle tests, we found your muscle tests were all relatively normal, and which is also great. but you did have some, if you could remember, overpowering hamstrings. If I remember, you were like laying on your stomach and I pushed down on your legs to test the muscles here, and you just yanked me right forward, which is totally fine. And you have your hip flexors, which you can see now with your posture analysis is they're overactive as well. Like you said, like you can observe, it's pulling you forward. So, and then we also looked at your paraspinals, which are just your muscles in your low back. Those are also tight, because I remember kind of pressing them and you're like, yeah, really tight. They felt really tender and taut as well. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think that's what I was stretching when last time I kind of re-injured my back.
That makes total sense, right? So with all of your findings and the history, that is leading me to believe that you have something called lower cross syndrome. And lower cross syndrome is just a pattern that we develop because of our everyday activities. I'm going to show you in this next one. As you can see, like with your findings, especially, you have something going on that creates your glute, like I said, your glute medius muscle on your behind, inhibited, and then your abdominals to also be inhibited, which leaves these erectors to be really tight and your hip flexors to be really tight as well. And so with your x-ray findings, we found, luckily with the all the tests that we did, nothing is really, affecting you right now. However, this is your spine here, and this is what a normal spine should look like. We found that, so these are your little vertebral bodies, and in between that, like I was saying, with the spine model is your disc. And you see right here, this is your L5 vertebra, which is your last vertebra in your lumbar spine or your low back spine. And you see this space, this is your sacrum, or your hip that supports your hip, your bone in the middle of your hip. You see this space is really decreased. So that means that's telling me that you have a little bit of compression in that disc. But luckily you're not experiencing any symptoms. However, it makes sense that when you're most severe and those muscles are pulling you back and you're pulling you forward, it's really causing some stress right here. And that's when you feel, like I said, I'll show you again, because of these nerves here, and that's when you feel that radiation or the pain traveling down to your legs. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what your lower cross syndrome is doing. It's causing some structural issues and causing you to have that low back pain. So how can I help you? Or how can chiropractic help you? So my concern is getting down to the root of your pain. Pain is not what we're running after here. It's just a symptom. It's just your body's way of telling you, hey, there's something going on, there's a problem. And the way chiropractic looks at the body is we take the nervous system, all those nerves that I showed you, all of that connects right up to the brain, and that's what we call your nervous system. And that's how your brain communicates with your body. So if something is going on, your body's going to respond with like an inappropriate message, which can be pain or can be stiffness or cause you, with your experience of stretching and you have that reaction, that's your body's response to what's going on really. And that's also what we call a subluxation. It's that disconnect between the brain and the body because of like something going on that's causing that disconnect, which I said is going to be your misalignments, maybe because of lower cross syndrome is causing those misalignments or causing your body to guard up and pull on that spine. Does that make sense? Yeah, any questions?
No.
Okay, so so chiropractic adjusts those subluxations, and then that's gonna help relieve that pressure, and it's going to fix any misalignments and create a healthy spine. Yeah? So what is important is your treatment plan. It's important to come twice a week for 8 weeks, and my goal, or our goal, is to stretch out those hamstrings, stretch out your tight back muscles, strengthen the abdominals and strengthen the glutes, as well as adjust any misalignments or any subluxations that we find in the spine. Because ultimately everything's connected, and it can lead to other issues in the body down the line, and another goal is to prevent that as well. And so some of the expectations that you can look forward to with your treatment plan, it's, removing things around. It's just like going to the gym, right? You're gonna expect some soreness. And if it gets a little unbearable, or you're just like annoyed with it, you can ice. No longer than 20 minutes. Feel free to do that. I also need you to do some maintenance on your own. I'm gonna send you some home care exercises and stretches, because, it took you a long time. It's taking you a long time right now with the pain and all these symptoms, and, with the postural, it's gonna take us some time to get you out of that as well. So that is something to consider. Do you feel that you can manage that?
Yeah, doesn't seem too bad.
Okay, great. And then after 8 weeks, we're gonna reassess and see how you're doing, see if it's working, see if we need to make any changes, or just, further progress improvements. And yeah, so ultimately, again, the goal, I want to decrease your symptoms. I want to improve that lower cross syndrome that we talked about. And I want to, for the long term, as you can see, sorry, again, because this normal spine right here, your curve actually is more curved. We call that hyperlordosis. So it's a little more curved than a normal spine. I want to decrease that curve just a little. They're great. Like I said, like you can see here, they're great because they're needed in the spine. They act as shock absorbers to distribute forces that happen, with our external environment. So the curve is needed, but in your case, because of those muscles, that lower cross syndrome that you had pulling on that back, we want to relieve that curve just a little bit, because as you can see on your x-rays, just a little bit above normal. That's all.
I can see.
Okay, so any questions?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah? Great. And so you have my email, you have my phone number, you can text me, whatever you need. I'm looking forward to your plan.
Me too.
All right, great. Thanks, Joe.